Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, Maine, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark and Pam today as Sarah is still in Dallas.
Still in Texas.
She'll be flying out soon and will be back with us on Monday.
Yay!
We are covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Give us a listen at lydiamediallc.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
Today's show is brought to you by UPI Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings, 754-4556. UPI, the best plumbers around. And by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to the weekend refreshments, don't botch it, squatch it, at 6 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
If you would like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam Ashby via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com. Our guest in studio is the Associate Athletic Communications Director for Bates College, Aaron Morse. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate your time as fall sports at Bates College is ramping up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've already had a bunch of home games already. We play nonstop, basically, September through October into November, hopefully. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for sure.
Keeps you busy.
Fall is by far our busiest season.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to talk all about Bates College athletics coming up following our weekend preview. And before our weekend preview, we need to know what the weather's going to look like during the weekend. So we send it over to our very own peanut gallery. Alex, you got the weather for us?
Yeah.
Excellent. What's going to happen?
Cloudy today with a high of 68. Cloudy this weekend with temps in the high 60s.
High five.
Perfect.
Great job.
Yay.
Good job, buddy.
Now the whole part for me is going to be the peanut gallery.
Well, you were so good at it yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
All right, it is Friday, and that is our weekend preview day where we try to let you know what's happening throughout the Twin Cities so you can get out there and enjoy yourselves. Coming up tonight, 10 p.m. at Fast Breaks, 1485 Lisbon Street in Lewiston. It's Quest Night.
All right.
I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
It is an interactive, adult-themed scavenger hunt type of game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
6 to 8 teams of approximately 10 people per team, and who knows what happens after that.
All right. Well, I'd be interested in checking it out.
Yeah,
so.
Sounds like a good time. And we have Oxford Hills Chamber of Commerce after hours.
Yes, at Catherine's Bakery. That starts at 5:30 p.m.
If you're looking for some laughs, Great Falls Comedy Club presents Robert Mack. That's happening tonight at 7. And then Adam Hatch tomorrow at 7. That's at 34 Court Street in Auburn. For tickets, you can go to greatfallscomedyclub.com. On Saturday, a big day here in the Twin Cities as the Dempsey Challenge takes over Lewiston, Auburn for a good part of the day. The primary fundraiser for the Dempsey Center in Lewiston. There'll be cycling events and running and walking events throughout the Twin Cities all day long.
Yeah, I heard their goal is a $2 million hefty goal for this event, and I believe they're about 75% there.
All right.
Yeah.
We have live music by John Rice at Obscura Cafe and Drinkery, 108 Lisbon Street in Lewiston.
And if you've never been there, you should definitely check it out. It's a great venue.
And if you've never heard John perform either, get out
I
there.
haven't heard him perform. I've only seen him speak at chamber events, so I would love to check him out and see him perform.
Everyone has hidden talents, right, that we have no idea about. Then you go out on a Friday or a Saturday night and you're like, hey.
Still trying to figure out mine. What's your hidden talent?
A front flip. Landing it.
A front flip. Landing a front flip.
You can do front flips?
Yeah.
That is impressive. Aaron, any hidden talents on your end?
I can name every World Series winner going back to the mid-1940s.
Wow.
Is that a talent? Or
That's-
just
I think so.
really
It's
sad?
It's impressive, if nothing else.
That's pretty impressive. Dempsey Challenge after party happening at Lost Valley, 6:30 to 9:30. That's on Saturday. 200 Lost Valley Road in Auburn. Those after parties are always so much fun.
They are, and Lost Valley is a great place to do something like that at.
Yeah, because there's outside and inside and jokes for the peanut gallery.
Gonna have to get them some t-shirts. Oktoberfest at Side by Each Brewery, 1110 Minot Ave in Auburn. That's happening at 1 p.m. On Sunday, free chicken barbecue from 11 a.m. to noon at St. Michael's Episcopal Church, 78 Pleasant Street in Auburn. And we have Fall Ladies' Day at the Range, 10 a.m., 476 Perkins Ridge Road in Auburn. A lady-only day at the Range, where you can learn the basics of firearm safety, handling, and shooting with their NRA-certified range safety officers. Baxter Brewing's Reggae Sunday series on the patio, happening 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday at the pub at Baxter Brewing. It's a free event, and for more info, you can go to baxterbrewing.com. Happening in sports this weekend, the Maine Nordiques have their home opening weekend starting tonight against the New Jersey Titans. Puck drop is at 7:30, and then they'll face off again tomorrow at 7. Big weekend.
Yeah, we'll be there tonight.
Awesome. On Sunday, Central Maine Community College Soccer will host Paul Smith's College. The women start at 11 and the men at 1. And in high school sports, our home teams with some home games tonight. In football, Edward Little hosts Messalonsky. Poland will host Oak Hill, and Oxford Hills takes on South Portland. Start time for all three of those games is 7 p.m. In girls soccer, it's Lisbon hosting Mountain Valley at 4. Tomorrow in field hockey, Oxford Hills will host Skowhegan at 11 a.m., and Edward Little takes on Hamden Academy at 3. In boys soccer, Edward Little hosts Hamden Academy at 11. Oxford Hills takes on Bangor at 1, and Lewiston will face Brewer at 6 p.m. In girls soccer tomorrow, Poland hosts Cape Elizabeth at 11, and St. Dom's will take on Sacopee Valley also at 11. We are going to let you know that if you need a heat pump, you can check the cover. If you need auto repair, that's under the cover. Independent mortgage lender, that's out back. These are just a few of the resources you'll find in the September issue of Uncle Andy's Digest.
Out now.
Along with jokes, funny stories, news items, shout-outs, business spotlights, an events calendar, and advertiser directory, Uncle Andy's Digest is your guide to, well, just about anything. Find them online at uncleandys.com. One event I didn't mention happening this weekend on Saturday, Bates College football with their home opener taking on Trinity at 1 p.m. And I saved that one for last because we are joined in studio by Aaron Morse, the Associate Athletic Communications Director for Bates College. And we were talking earlier about the fall schedule and how busy that keeps you. Nothing keeps you busier than football, I'm imagining.
It's the largest operation for sure. So, like, for instance, at the coin toss, the president of the college is going to be doing the coin toss with his nephew, and so that's, lots of logistics with that, and so just lots of stuff that go into to putting on a college football game, to say the least.
And you're up there in the booth calling the game, right?
So for football, I'm actually not calling the game because my job for the football games is to keep the live stats. So for people like parents from kids who are out of state who obviously maybe can't make the game, although we do, a lot of parents come up for the games. But there's if you go to our website, there's like a link on the schedule, and people can follow the game. Let's say they can't watch it for whatever reason, like they're at some other event, but they want to follow it. They certainly can, and that's me. So I'm basically the official statistician for the game. So I'm up there recording, in real time, every run, every tackle, every pass, everything that happens. I am inputting that into a software we have, and that goes onto the web in real time.
Wow.
Now, everything's fixable. Mistakes happen, and box scores will get adjusted after the game and stuff like that. But, so for football, and I've been doing this for quite a few years, that's what I do. And it would be impossible to broadcast a game while inputting the stats. Right. For football. I actually do that in baseball season. Baseball's
much more leisurely paced.
And you keep score anyway when you broadcast baseball. But for football, I'm dedicated to the stats.
How many sports are there at Bates College?
We have 31 varsity sports at Bates.
Wow.
So everything from cross-country running, I do want to give them a shout-out because they are hosting the Maine State Meet at 10:30 in the morning on Saturday at Roy's Disc Golf in Auburn. And there's no better place to watch cross-country. It's a great view of the whole course, basically, because it's wide open.
Yeah.
So everything from cross-country to squash to skiing, both Nordic and Alpine, lacrosse, everything in between. We have a lot.
You do. You do have a lot. It's impressive. Some people have never been to a Bates game, and they're so good.
And they're free.
They're free. It's quality NCAA Division III athletics, and it's great stuff. So if you can, get out there and support the teams. All 31 of them, if you want to.
Yeah, that might be a tough ask.
And it's not 31 at once, right? So we break it up into, so like in the fall, we've got field hockey. I want to give volleyball a shout out because volleyball is home tonight, here Friday, 7 o'clock against Amherst, and also home tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That's the other thing. We have overlapping games. So the football game is at 1, and it's still going to be going when the volleyball match starts inside Alumni Gym at 2. So they're home as well this weekend. And then we have men's and women's soccer on the road, field hockey's on the road. Our golf teams have a fall season, so they're in action this weekend on the road, and tennis as well. So we break it up into different seasons, obviously, but yeah, there's a lot.
How'd you like to keep stats for all those teams, Pam?
No.
They'll keep Pats for all the teams.
I used to keep stats for hockey and I think it was baseball. Baseball was like middle school and then hockey in high school. You got to pay attention. You just got to stay focused. You got to definitely watch the game and watch what's going on. I mean, that's impressive to keep up with all those stats. You're busy during that football game for sure.
Yeah, and I always tell like the workers up in the press box that like no matter what's happening on the field, we have a job that we're doing. So like I don't care if we're losing by a lot, we need to be successful at what we're doing, and because we can't let what's happening on the field impact what we're inputting the stats, because those have to be accurate.
I do want to get a little bit of your background, Aaron, because you're one of my favorite play-by-play guys.
Oh, well, thank you.
You got your start out West, right?
So I got my start when I was 3 years old in my driveway. I'm from Seattle, and so like I grew up a big Mariners fan. Mainly it was just baseball as a kid, and I would like play. We had a driveway that we shared with our next door neighbor, and I had this like pitch hit. It was called a pitch hitter. You put a ball in like a cone, and it's like a mechanical pedal, and you step on, the ball pops up in the air, and then you hit it. So I would play baseball games in my driveway and broadcast them, and the whole neighborhood would hear me. So I always kind of knew I wanted to get into broadcasting in that regard. And I graduated from high school in 2006, Ballard High School in Seattle, and then went to Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois in the Big Ten, and that's where I knew I wanted to get into media. So I immediately joined the student radio station, student television station, got to broadcast Big Ten athletics, got to travel to every Big Ten campus. When I was in college, at the time, we only had 11 teams in the Big Ten. There are now 18. But when I was in school, we had 11, and I went to every campus there. Got to broadcast Big Ten football at Iowa and bowl games and stuff like that. And we were the exclusive home Northwestern women's basketball, so got to cover a lot of different sports in college as well as a student reporter, and then graduated in 2010, had an internship in Alabama for one summer with the Huntsville Stars, who no longer exist. They moved to Biloxi and became the Biloxi Shuckers, and now there's a new team in that area called the Rocket City Trash Pandas. So a lot of things have changed.
Trash Pandas.
I have their hat. I'm a big fan of the Trash Pandas.
So that was the Southern League. That was a double-A of the Milwaukee Brewers when I interned there. Did a broadcast internship summer 2010, and then went independent. There's affiliated professional baseball. So for the Portland Sea Dogs are a double-A affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. Then there's independent professional baseball, or as they're now called, MLB partner leagues, but independent professional baseball, where the teams are not affiliated with any major league organization, and the players are basically trying to get noticed to be signed by a major league organization. And so I was in the Frontier League of professional baseball, to be specific, with a couple of different teams, one called the Joliet Slammers, because Joliet is known for a prison. The Blues Brothers, the opening scene.
Yes.
That prison is a block away from the baseball stadium. So it was actually kind of fun because my years with the Joliet Slammers, we were founded in 2011. That was my first year with them. So I was there from the very beginning, which was kind of cool. So I was there for 3 years. And then I went to Florence, same league, Florence Freedom professional baseball. They were called the Freedom because they were established, I think, right after 9/11. So it was a very, very patriotic time. So they were named the Freedom. That team has now changed their name since I left. They're now the Florence Yalls because there is a famous, quote-unquote famous water tower outside the ballpark that says Florence Y'all on it. And the reason why it says Florence Y'all is because it used to say Florence Mall, but billboards are banned in Kentucky, so they made them change it so that they changed the M to a Y and Florence Y'all. So that team now is the Florence Y'alls because they wanted to associate themselves with that famous water tower. But they were the Florence Freedom when I was there for a couple of years. And then I was sick of independent baseball. Not sick of baseball. I love baseball. But when you're in independent baseball, there's a lot more than just broadcasting and covering sports. I mean, as you probably know, resources are tight. So you're expected to sell a lot of sponsorships and stuff. And that wasn't, I mean, I could do it, but I wasn't like thrilled doing that, especially after 5 years of doing it. Yeah. So no offense to sponsors. They're very important. But I just couldn't, I wanted to just cover sports. And I'd never heard of Bates College, honestly. Not growing up in the West Coast.
Yeah.
Not a school I'd ever heard of, but I saw it opening online for assistant sports information director job, and I was like, oh, this could be cool. I'd never even thought of that side of things. Like, I'd worked with SIDs at Northwestern when I was in student media, but I was never on that side of things. And so, yeah, I applied and moved to Maine because I was 27, so why not, or whatever, 28. And yeah, I've been here ever since. 2015 was my first year.
So safe to say you enjoy the area and Maine and...
Yeah, and my wife, who I met here, is a Mainer. She went to Everett Little High School, St. Anselm for undergrad, but then the University of Maine for grad school. So she has no intention on leaving, so neither do I.
Well, there you go.
That's good.
So we know what you do in the press box during football games.
Yeah.
What are some of your other duties as Associate Athletic Communications Director?
Well, I see myself as sort of like, I see our department, I guess, as sort of like ESPN Bates. We want to cover Bates athletics from every angle and every platform we can. So whether it be writing stories, I'm doing a feature story for our digital program this week on one of our senior captains for the football team, whether it be video pieces. I do a weekly podcast, Bates Bobcast. We're the Bobcats. This is the Bobcast. And where I interview our student athletes and coaches about their backgrounds and their experiences. So audio, video, written pieces, social media, working with outside media to cover our teams as well, obviously with the Sun Journal and other, and yourselves, Lydia Media and everything. It all plays a part in creating a comprehensive overview of Bates athletics, creating a living history, promoting our programs to potential students, to our alums, to the general public. All that's very important. So it's holistically as much well-rounded coverage as possible.
And if you're a basketball fan and have not yet been to Alumni Gymnasium, how would you describe the atmosphere there?
It's Hoosiers. It's incredible. It's the greatest atmosphere I've been a part of, honestly. Like, it's a small gym. We don't hold more than a few hundred people. One time someone asked me, why doesn't Bates host like the main high school state championships? I'm like,
where would we put everybody?
We've seen our venue.
It's an indoor event, right?
It was built in 1928. So it's almost 100 years old, and it is awesome. Like, we redid the court a few years ago, so the actual court is fairly new, but like the bones of the gym are the same as when it was built, and the outside is the same as when it was built. And it gets loud. Like, especially compared to other schools in our conference. We're in the New England Small College Athletic Conference, NESCAC for short. And the other schools in our conference have bigger gyms, but also they don't fill them. So we go on the road, and I watch the feed, and it's like this atmosphere is nothing. At our place, and you were there, Mark, you experienced this. It is loud. It's fun. It's our teams really thrive off it. They play much better at home, as you might imagine. They call it alumni magic in terms of like the experience of playing there, and it's terrific. Yeah,
lots of energy.
Yeah,
it was electric. The women's basketball team last year was just incredible.
Yeah, they made the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Division III tournament, and probably should have won that game, to be honest. But it was great. They hosted the first two rounds, and they won both their first two rounds when we hosted here. At Alumni Gym, and it was a great atmosphere. Probably the best atmosphere all year was when Bowdoin in the regular season came to town, because obviously Bates-Bowdoin separated by 35 to 40 minutes is a pretty big rivalry, and to have the gym packed. I mean, it was that was the biggest crowd ever. That was even bigger probably than the tournament crowd, but maybe about the same. I mean, at some point you can't let anyone more in. We were literally had to turn people away. It was pretty incredible, and I think women's basketball in particular is a sport that's having a moment in general in terms of like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the WNBA and their expansion. They just announced a new team in Portland, Oregon, and that has I wouldn't say trickled down to Bates, but I think it has enhanced the experience at Bates because like people know women's basketball better than ever and are coming out to support the team. They did in the past too, but I think it's only enhanced things.
Have you been?
I haven't.
To one that you got to check it out.
I literally live like a half a mile from Bates, so
yeah. Well, the best way to, as we said, it can be overwhelming how many events we have, but gobatesbobcats.com/calendar is what I use, and it's like every single event and anything with a red bar to the left of it on your desktop or laptop computer. That's a home game. Okay. It's on mobile as well, but the best view I think is on the laptop, and that just lists every event we do, home and away. But the red bars indicate home games, so that's the best way to keep track. And then each team has their own schedule on the web as well, which is really helpful with links and everything. But and everything's free to attend and whatnot. The NCAA tournament games we actually technically have to charge like $5, but regular season is free.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big basketball fan, so I'll have to come and check out one of your games.
A basketball fan too.
Yeah, you want to go check out a Bates basketball game?
Yeah.
All right.
You'd love it, Alex.
The peanut gallery.
The enthusiasm. Everybody's bringing signs, and it's just the student section is going crazy.
Yeah, and we have All-Americans. I mean, Elsa Delario was an All-American last year. She's from Harpswell, Maine, went to Mount Ararat. Her mother is Adrienne Scheibels, who is now Associate AD at Bates, but you might know that name because she led Bowdoin as a head coach to the multiple Final Fours. And she's a Bates alum herself, class of 91. And so Elsa is our All-American, but we also had an All-American from South Portland a few years ago, Megan Graff, who graduated. So we're just churning out All-Americans right now. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
From Maine.
So let's talk about Saturday's football game against Trinity. How's the team looking this year?
So I went to the Amherst game to start the season. They had a game on the road last Saturday, and the defense held Amherst to just 190 yards of total offense, which was the fewest yards allowed by a Bates defense since 2015. So, I mean, Trinity is a perennial NESCAC power, so maybe what you see on Saturday won't be necessarily reflective of the rest of the year, but I do think the football team is headed in the right direction, especially on the defensive side of the ball under our head coach, Matt Coyne, who's in his third year now. And he got married. He has a kid now, and that's why he can't be here because Friday morning is family time. But yeah, so this is his third year, and he went to Wesleyan, so he's very familiar with our conference and was a quarterback there. And so he's been our head coach. This is the third season. He inherited a program that did not have very many players. So one thing he had to do was just revamp the recruiting, and he's done a great job with that. So this is a young team still, mostly first years and sophomores, very small senior class, but they're definitely heading in the right direction. They did not win their opener, unfortunately, but it was a very encouraging performance, and this might be a little bit technical, but they've unveiled a little bit new look offense with a little more option concepts to run with the quarterback and everything in terms of rushing the ball. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Trinity is going to be a tough team. They typically win the conference almost every year, but we have other home games as well coming up in the future.
And soccer and field hockey doing well?
Yeah, everyone's off to good starts. Field hockey team had a magical year last year also, similar to women's basketball. For field hockey, they made the NCAA tournament for the first time ever last year, which was really cool. They hosted and won a game. They're ranked 8th in the country right now. They're off to a 3-1 start. Our women's soccer team looks much improved. They have a great recruiting class. They have some players who were hurt last year who have returned, who are doing really well, and women's soccer is undefeated at the moment, actually. They did have one draw, but they're 3-0-1 right now. So they're off to a strong start. Their next home game is Monday. I want to mention this. So we have a couple different fields. We have Garcelon Field, which most people are familiar with. That's where football is played, middle of campus. There's also Russell Street Track and Field, which is where it's on Russell Street, so you can't really miss it. But it used to be grass, and we spent the summer turfing it to give us a little bit more flexibility in terms of venues where we can host different things. And so that is ready. The soccer teams have been playing on Garcelon this fall. That's ready. And so our first game on the newly turfed, newly lit Russell Street Field will be Monday. Our women's soccer team is playing Maine Maritime Academy at 6:30 p.m. On the brand new turf there. So that'll be exciting. So, yeah, and men's soccer's off to a good start. Volleyball's, everyone's got a winning record right now in terms of those sports you just mentioned. So, good start to the year.
How many athletic complexes do you have on campus?
Well, so there's the two fields I mentioned for football and lacrosse and soccer, Garcelana and Russell Street. And then you've got the gym, obviously alumni gym. We have, and the Russell Street, I said track and field. So our track team, that's where they have their outdoor meets. Indoor meets are in Merrill Gymnasium, which also hosts, we have indoor tennis courts there also. We also have outdoor tennis courts at the Wallach Tennis Center. Those have lights as well. Then you've got stuff like, well, we have Underhill Arena. I don't know if you play ice hockey, but we have a rink. We don't have a varsity team. We have club teams. We have a rink, and not many people know that. But that's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in Underhill Arena, and so those are we have of course a baseball field and a softball field as well. Softball fields by Russell Street, and then baseball fields across from Guard Salon, and we will be turfing the infield of the baseball field shortly as well, because in the springtime the weather is difficult. We have many schedule changes, and so that's very exciting. Also, we'll be able to be a little more flexible when it comes to our home baseball games. So lots of 5, 6, 7 different on-campus sites. Yeah.
A lot of options out there.
Yeah.
Aaron, is there a sport that is particularly tough to call for you?
In terms of play-by-play, at Bates, I really only do the home basketball and home baseball games. And no, I don't find those difficult. I mean, I call football, as you mentioned, for high school sometimes. Football is just in general the most involved. I don't know. It used to be very difficult, but I've been doing it long enough where it's not anymore. But you have to realize different elements of it. I mean, if I had to call a soccer match, which I have had to occasionally, that can be tough, right? Soccer can be difficult to call. It's just I'm
it
not.
It moves really fast.
It moves fast, but not a ton happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and no offense to soccer, love our soccer teams, but it is difficult to call those. I've never had to call a field hockey game. The field hockey rules are not known to very many people, including the players. Like, I'll ask, why they blow the whistle there. I don't know.
Did the officials know?
I have heard that before.
Yeah.
Like, parents that have kids playing field hockey,
Yeah.
they're like, we still don't know the rules. We don't know why the whistle was blown. We're unsure.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
So I don't broadcast our field hockey games because, again, I'm doing the stats for field hockey. So we have Jeff Mannix, who does a great job, comes in and calls our field hockey games. And then I don't think I do very well calling volleyball. I do PA announcing sometimes. I've done PA announcing for volleyball, which is really fun. But I don't know about play-by-play in terms of terminology and stuff. But so just I would say sports that I haven't done as much are more difficult.
Do you have a particular favorite sport to call?
Well, I mean, so I grew up with baseball, right? So my dad grew up in Oklahoma, Cardinals fan, because he would grow up listening to Jack Buck call Cardinals games because the radio signal would reach Oklahoma from St. Louis. So he was pure baseball. He didn't care about any other sports. So I would start off on baseball. I would say football. When I was growing up, the Seahawks in Seattle were 8-8 every year. I was like, okay. So I wasn't too enthused, but they made the Super Bowl my senior year of high school. So I got into football more, especially in college. College football I love college football, a lot. So
Better than the NFL?
yes. I get way
agree.
more excited for a college football game than I do for an NFL game. I think that will stay the same now that there's a 12-team playoff. But back in the day, every game was this is it. We have to win or our season is ruined, which I enjoy that. Whereas NFL is we can make the playoffs with 9 wins.
Yeah. I feel
Maybe
the
even
same way
8.
with NBA and college basketball. I much prefer to watch college basketball than the NBA.
Yeah, so NBA, I mean, I obviously grew up a huge Sonics fan. Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, 1990s basketball. Obviously the Bulls were the run roughshod over the NBA, but the Sonics made the finals once, 95-96, and then they moved. In 2008, they left. And NBA has not returned to Seattle. We have a great WNBA team, the Seattle Storm, and I went to their first championship clinching game back in the day. But NBA I haven't watched for many, many years because I just I was very much soured on the league because of letting the Sonics leave Seattle for Oklahoma City. no offense to Oklahoma City, but like Seattle had a lot of history there. The Sox had won an NBA title in the 70s. Like they had amazing teams in the 90s. So to have them leave, especially right after Kevin Durant was drafted, was not great. So, So college basketball for me, because I have a personal grudge against the National Basketball Association.
That's still.
Yeah, still. Oh, absolutely. Until the team comes back.
Yeah.
No interest, honestly. Yeah.
Love it.
I can name like 2 Celtics players probably. I mean, like, something.
What is your dream game to call?
Oh, I mean, I guess if Game 7 of the World Series, Mariners versus whoever, would be the dream.
Yeah. Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mariners have never even made the World Series, so let's get there first. But, that would be it.
They've sniffed the playoffs. They've had a cup of coffee in the playoffs, right?
When I was a kid, they made the playoffs 4 times in 6 years.
Those are the Griffey years, right?
Sort of. 95, 97, Griffey was on the team, got traded in 99, and the Mariners made the playoffs again in 2000 and 2001. 2001, they won 116 games, tying the Major League Baseball record for wins in one season. And that team did not have Griffey, did not have Alex Rodriguez, did not have Randy Johnson. It was a bunch of other guys, Ichiro's rookie year, basically. And then they lost the Yankees in the ALCS in 5 games, which was the ultimate letdown after such an amazing regular season. And then they did not make the playoffs for 20-plus years until a couple years ago. And they lost, divisional round to the Astros. So it was a long drought, and it's frustrating, certainly. But yeah, I mean,
Aaron's face is getting red. We can't.
I got the chance to watch a lot of great individual talents: Griffey, Alex Rodriguez for a few years, Randy Johnson, Ichiro, Edgar Martinez, who's in the Hall of Fame, a lot of Jay Buhner, who was immortalized by Seinfeld. So I got a chance to see a lot of incredible, famous and athletes who people won't forget for a long time when I was growing up, even despite the lack of success for other reasons.
Is there anything else about Bates Athletics that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I just say check out GoBatesBobcats.com. Go to the calendar page, /calendar, and just check. And you can go to each team's individual schedule under the sports tab, and you can just kind of see when we're playing, who we're playing. Everything's free. Everything's on campus. We have some really promising fall sports, and I just encourage everyone to come out and support our student athletes who are, a lot of them, a fair number are from Maine, but they're also from all over the country. And every year, you mentioned the Dempsey Challenge earlier. They raise money for the Dempsey Challenge and are very active in the community, and it's great to support them.
Yeah, they sure are. We had the Greater Androscoggin Humane Society in here a couple weeks ago, and a lot of Bates students volunteer there and at other organizations throughout the Twin Cities. So get out there and support your Bobcats. Aaron can name every World Series winner since 1945.
Ballpark, yeah.
Ballpark. I see
1945 was the Tigers.
I see what you did. Yeah. How about the decade of 1970?
Okay. We'll go backwards.
Okay. However you want to do it.
Yeah. Okay. 79 was the Pirates. Okay, 78 was the Yankees, 77 was the Yankees, 76 was the Reds, 75 was the Reds, 74 was the A's, 73 was the A's, 72 was the A's, 71 was the Pirates, and 70 was the Orioles.
Wow, that's
He's Aaron Morse, everyone, Associate Athletic Communications Director for Bates College. That was impressive. I have no doubt you could do everyone since 45. That was good stuff. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today, and go Bobcats.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This information is sourced from published and submitted events. Times, dates, schedules, and venues may change. Please check with the venue or event organizer prior to making plans. Get out there and have some fun. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday.
The Peanut Gallery wishes you a good weekend.